Hi guys, Laura Kuenssberg as a journalist can be extremely hit and miss when it comes to challenging both the Tories and Labour. Now, as it's more and more likely that Yvette Cooper will be the next Home Secretary, immigration is going to be an issue she's going to have to deal with. However, while the Labour MP is very careful with her language, she was somewhat painted into a corner by the rhetoric used around this topic. Kuenssberg presented asylum seekers as a problem and asked the Shadow Home Secretary what she would do about it. Once again, the framing is completely off here. Have a listen.
Last year, just under 39,000 people were granted asylum. Then there was a further 112,000 who came from Hong Kong and Ukraine. So there was a total of 150,000 people coming to this country, either as refugees or seeking asylum. Do you think that number is about right, or is it too high?
I think we've had to respond to very specific situations. So, for example, Ukraine and Hong Kong have been one-off situations in that Ukraine, there was obviously important for all European countries to respond as the nearest neighbours to Ukraine. And we did so, many families across the country took in Ukrainian families. We've done so ourselves. And that, I think, has been important. And then on Hong Kong, again, the UK had some very specific obligations, but those have been both one-off schemes.
So there were nearly 40,000 asylum claims accepted, and many of those people would have arrived here illegally. Do you think that number is too high?
It's not illegal to arrive in the UK by a small boat. This, unfortunately, is the right-wing framing I'm talking about. Laura Kuenssberg should have been pushed back on there. Yvette Cooper should have said to her, actually, you know it's not illegal to claim asylum in the United Kingdom even if you've arrived via small boat. It's an unsafe route, but it's not an illegal route. Now, the right wing tried to present it as these people are illegal migrants or as illegal asylum seekers, even Sir Edward Lee described them as. But it's not. It's completely false. It's a right wing framing that should have been pushed back on.
Highest granted since 2002.
I think where the problem is the boat crossings, and we think that this is undermining our border security and also putting lives at risk. So we need action to stop the dangerous boat crossings. We have to strengthen our border security in order to do so, as well as having a functioning asylum system.
And we will, but before we get into how the system actually works, nearly 40,000 people were granted as asylum here. That is, as I said, the highest number granted in a year since 2002. On a matter of principle, is that too high, or are you comfortable with that number?
Once again, why is this a problem? Why is this number too high? Because the Home Office has granted asylum to these people. It's not that this number of people have arrived and some of them have been granted asylum and others have been deported. No, this is a number of people who have been granted asylum because their claim has been deemed valid. Why is this a problem? For the right wing, it's a problem. But the BBC should be impartial here. Laura Kuenssberg is supposed to be an independently minded journalist, but she's using these right-wing talking points.
I don't think you can set specific numbers at a time when you have to respond to what the situation is in different parts of the world. What I do think, though, that we should be doing is working internationally to make sure that actually refugees can get support in the region. We used to do much more of that. And now a lot of the aid budget that used to be used to actually make sure that so people could get support in neighbouring countries, that they weren't exploited by people smugglers, that they didn't make these huge long journeys, instead is being used to pay bills for asylum hotels in the UK. Well, we should be ending the asylum hotel use and actually tackling some of those issues at source. That would be far more effective.
Now, her response is good and it's bad at the same time. The good is that it's completely wrong that the aid budget is being used to fund hotel use. These people should have their claims processed. They should be able to move on to refugee status. They should be allowed to work. But that's not currently the case. So the Tory government is using the aid budget to fund hotel use. Now, that's the good part. She's completely correct there, and that should not be happening. The part I don't agree with her on is she's once again going along with this right-wing narrative that, well, we should be funding the situation, providing security for people in neighbouring countries. So people, when they leave a war zone or a place where they are persecuted, they should stay in the next safe country. Why? If people want to get to the United Kingdom, if people want to get to Europe to rebuild their lives there, they have family, they have connections in Europe or in the United Kingdom, then they should be guaranteed security. They should be allowed to come to Europe, to Britain as well. Why should they have to stay in the first safe country? This, once again, is, unfortunately, I feel, Yvette Cooper and the Labour Party sliding into this right-wing narrative. When people claim asylum, well, they should stay in the first safe country, or we should be supporting them to stay in the first safe country. So I'm a little bit concerned about some of the rhetoric here. It sounds a little bit Tory-esque, but it's a lot better than the current state of affairs. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.